So now let's start on our dark mode and light mode toggle. So I'm back in index.html and I'm going to come above my page wrapper because this is going to be translating. And I'm going to start on the HTML. So I want a div wrapper for my entire toggle bar. And I also want a sun wrapper. So sun wrapper. And I'll multiply by 2. And for the second one, I'll call it moon wrapper. And this will just wrap our SVGs. And I want to give spaces to them, and we'll put our SVGs in there later. Then I want the button itself, so I'm going to do button and call it toggle button. And inside this toggle button, we want that little circle moving, so I'll call it toggle circle. Okay, now let's grab our SVG. So I'm going to go to my browser here, and I'm going to go to fonts.google.com and go to icons up here. And let's search for a sun for our light mode. And it looks like they have a light mode icon, but let me select sunny. And before we download it, let's put it at 24 pixels. And now we can select it again and download the SVG. Now let's go to and look for a moon. And it looks like dark mode is pretty good, so I'm going to select dark mode and make sure it's at 24 pixels as well. It is, so let's download that as well. Okay, so now I'm going to navigate to my SVGs where I saved them. I'm going to right click, open with Visual Studio Code. And then I'm just going to Control A to select everything, Control C to copy everything, and Control W to quickly close the tab. And then I'll put the sun wrapper here. Let's go back and do the same thing with the moon as well. So I accidentally got it backwards. Let me just Alt arrow down until it gets to the moon wrapper. And now let's do it for the sunny. So I'm going to open with Visual Studio Code, Control A, Control C, Control W, and let's put it in the sun wrapper. Okay, so that's our index.html to style.css, and let's put it under page itself. So I'm going to copy and paste this, and I'll call it toggle bar, and then I'll select the toggle bar itself. And of course, we want it position fixed so it doesn't go anywhere. It stays on the screen at all times. And let's make it display flex direct. And I think flex direction is default row, but I'm going to set it anyway because I can't remember. And I'll just justify content center as usual and align item center. Pretty cool. So that just aligns everything vertically and horizontal within the toggle bar container. And let's just put it at like top 48 pixels and the right 48 pixels. And let's just give it a Z index of something crazy. And we also have to do this stuff for our wrappers. So I'm going to call .sun wrapper as well as .moon wrapper. And whoops, this should be comma here. And I want to give it some hierarchy. And let's also just copy and paste this stuff from toggle bar and put it here. Okay, now let's work on our toggle button. So I'm going to do toggle button. And this is going to be the background that our white circle is moving between. And I'm going to make a cursor pointer. So whenever I hover over it, it's pointer. It shows a clicker thingy. And I'm going to position it relative so within this container. And I'll just give it a width of like 56 pixels and a height of like 28 pixels. Then let's copy this stuff again. And we don't really need this, so let me just get rid of that. Then I'm gonna do its background color, and I'll put primary pink that we had before. Then let's give it a border radius of like 999 pixels. Give a margin of 0 pixels on the top and bottom, but 16 pixels left and right. Let's get rid of its border. And let's give it a box shadow. So we could manually do this, or we can go to our browser again and type in beautiful CSS box shadows. And you can go right here and click on the first one, and you can just copy one. So I'm going to copy, yeah, this looks good. I'm going to copy the first one, and I'm just going to paste it in there. And oh, it looks like they already gave us box shadow. so we don't have to do it. Then I want to start creating our circle, so I'm going to do this dot toggle that circle, which is that center div, which is that circular div. I want to position it absolute, so absolute within the toggle button container, and I'll set its default at left 6 pixels and its border radius at 50%. So it becomes a circle, and then I'll put its width and height at the same amount. So width and height both at 20 pixels. And then let's set its background color, so primary color, and that's our slightly beige, slightly white color. I'm just gonna give a transition, and I'll put all 0.2 seconds, and I'll put an ease in, out. And it looks like there's an error here, and I forgot the semicolon. Now, when we want to hover this, we want the ball to get smaller. So let's go to our toggle button. So I'm going to call it toggle button. Whoops. Toggle button. And on hover of the toggle button, on hover, we want to go to the toggle. We want to change the size of the circle. And let's set its width to, what was its original width? 20 and 20. So I'm gonna set its new width and height to like 16 pixels and height to 16 pixels. Let's just give that a try and see what we get. And it's working. And it feels kind of off for some reason. Let's see. Let me zoom in. Oh yeah, that's cause it's transforming. Okay, that's because it's transforming to the left instead of on the center. So what we can do instead of setting the height and width, let's do transform, and let's use scale instead. So let's do scale 0.9, and let's save that and see if it works now. Yeah, now it's scaling from the center of itself rather than what it was doing previously. Okay, so let's create a new theme class. I'm gonna head to world, and I'll create a new file called theme.js. Then let's go to utils, and I'm just gonna go to sizes and Control A to copy it so we don't have to type stuff out, and copy it into theme. Let's get rid of all this stuff because we don't need it. And let's rename this to theme. Okay, so I want to set the theme variable to light first because it will start at light. And I'll grab the toggle button and I'll set it to this variable. I'll do document.query selector toggle button, and that's it. Whoops, toggle button. And let's do the same thing for the toggle circle. So I'm going to call this toggle circle instead. Circle and circle. And I will make a function called this.set event listeners, even though we only have one, and I'm just going to name it that anyway. And let's give the toggle button a, whoa, that was oh yeah, that was right. And we want to give it an add event listener, and click, and let's do this. And on click of the button, we wanted to translate 24 pixels. So what we can do is just toggle a class to the element, and I'm gonna come back to styles.css, and here I'll call this slide class, and I'll do transform, and I'll translate x, and I'll type in like 24 pixels, and don't forget that semicolon, and let's save that. So now let's go back to theme.js, and on click, so we want to this.sliders, this.toggle circle, toggle circle. We want to give it that slide class and take it away after we click again. So I'm going to do targets its class list, and I'll toggle that class, which is slide. Okay, so let's set up a ternary operator to set the theme based on the click. So if this.theme equals, if this.theme equals light, question mark, then set it to dark. Otherwise, if it's dark, then set it to light. And let's just save that. And let's just console.log this.theme, and let's see how it works. So let's go to our browser now. And when I click, nothing's happening. And that's because we never instantiated this anywhere. So I don't know how many times I'm going to forget that. Let's actually move this out of world and back into experience. So I'm just going to move it. And let's go to experience and import theme. So I'm going to come up here, shift alt down arrow, and change this to theme. And let's create a new theme right here. This dot theme equals new theme, and save that. So now it should work. Let's go back to our browser and click on it. And yeah, well, it looks to be glitching. When I hover over it without clicking, it's moving backwards. And let me check the CSS. I think when we hovering it, this transform is like replacing this transform. So I'm not actually sure, but what we can do instead is but I think what we can do instead is set the absolute position instead of transforming it. So let's just do left, and I'm gonna put it at like 28 pixels. So now what we're doing is we're animating the position rather than a translation. Okay, so maybe this will work. Let's just save and see it. So I'm gonna click. Yeah, now when I hover it, it's not going back. I think there's something wonky with translations in CSS that I don't know about. But okay, so now it works. Okay, so now we want to emit this event. So let's do this dot emit from our parent class event emitter. And we want to pass this argument theme. So I'm going to call the event called switch, and I'll pass in an argument called this.theme. Then let's come to world.js, and I'll set the theme here. So this.theme equals this.experience.theme. And let's grab this.theme dot on switch. We want to grab that theme that we passed in and pass it to a function. And I'll do this.switch theme, switch theme, and I'll pass in the theme to that function. And let's create that function now. And let's grab the theme. Really, I think we only are changing this.environment and nothing else, because this holds our lights. So it might be a little overkill just to have a complete separate thing for it, but it should be fine if we ever need to adjust something else related to the theme. So let's just do if this.environment and this.environment, and let's just create a new method for it called switch theme, and let's pass in the theme there. Okay, so let's copy and paste this function, switch theme, and I'm going to control P to let's find environment and go there. And I'm just going to copy and paste this function and create it. Okay, now let's import GSAP. So I'm going to import GSAP from GSAP. Whoops, GSAP. So we can use GSAP to translate the color here. So let's just do if theme equals dark, and do this, otherwise do this, and we need to grab that parameter in here. So let's just do some dummy testing right now, and I'll do this.sunlight. Okay, so let's animate the color of this.sunlight, and I'm going to do gsap.to, and let's do this.sunlight and .color. And let's set its RGBA values to R. Let's just set it to black. So 255, 55, A 255. And this is just the RGBA values for black. Okay, yeah, and let's just see if that works. So I'm gonna go to the browser. And let's control log to see. Cannot read properties of undefined switch theme. Let's see what's the error here. Switch theme. Let's go back to world.js and see what the problem is. If it's undefined, I probably misspelled something. Environ. Enviro. Yeah, oh wow, I misspelled the original one. That's embarrassing. Um, so yeah, let's just change these to environment and like spell it correctly. So now it should work, right? And yeah, nice. So something changed, but it's not what we're expecting. Invalid property A set to 255, missing plugin. And yeah, I don't know why I put A here. That's alpha channel. It should be RGB. I was just thinking too fast. So now let's try it. And that's not what we're expecting. Yeah, that's definitely not right. So let's go to 3.js and take a look at their documentation. Let's go to color. Actually, let's console.log. And let's see what's the problem here. Constructor, color. Oh, so they have a scale between 0 and 1. Let's just make sure this is the same thing. Let's do console.log this.sunlight, and I want to put it up here. And let's go back and let's click this. And our directional light dot color, and yeah, it's a color. And okay, so it has to be between 0 and 1. So let's divide these, and let's put in 0 here, and save that and see what we get. And yeah, okay, so let's also put it back to 1 here as well, 255. And it looks kind of weird because our ambient light isn't changing either. So let's just copy and paste this, Shift Alt down arrow, and let's also get our ambient light here as well. And let's just change it along with how it's supposed to be. And let's just check that out. So we go completely black to completely light. Okay, so let's find some good light colors such that it kind of works a little bit better. It would be kind of a pain to find a color on the internet and then keep on copying and pasting it in here until we find something that we like. So we can use a tool to allow us to quickly change colors, and that's called LilGui. And let's type it in and find its npm package. And so basically all you do is you just put in something, you know, kind of like GSAP, but instead of like a timeline, you just give values and then you can adjust those values. So let's go to examples and see if we can find something. So yeah, here you can see you can slide values around, and same with colors here, so you can choose up colors. So let's just select this and it'll copy it automatically for you. Okay, so let's go back, control back tick, and open this, and then copy and paste this and save -dev. Cool, let's check our package.json, make sure it's in here, and indeed it is. Okay, so let's go back to the doc and import GUI from LilGui. And then let's create a new GUI, so like so. And I'm just gonna put it in here. And let's just do this.gui equals new GUI. Then let's create an object, and this will just hold our parameters that we're gonna be changing. And I'll call, whoops, and inside here I'll make a color object, and I'll make it an object, and I'll do R0, GB0, B0, like so. And then we had an intensity of 3, so I'm going to put an intensity of 3 as well in here. Now let's create a function called setGUI. So I'm going to put it after setSunlight, this.setGUI. And let's put setGUI here. Then we can do this.gui.addColor, which is a method from the package in the docs. And let's do this.obj. And we want to select the color object inside, so we'll pass it in like that. So let's go to our browser and take a look. Yeah, so now we can pick our color. but it's not changing the light. So what we can do is use another little GUI method called onChange, and it takes a callback, and we want to make it an arrow function to keep the context. And what we'll do is this dot sunlight dot color, and we want to copy, which is a 3JS method. We want to copy this dot object and the color object. And let's do the same thing for the ambient light. So let's do ambient light like so. And so let's get the ambient light. And we also want to change the intensity. So let's do this.gui.add this.object. And we want to select intensity this time. And let's set a minimum value of 0 because 0 would be pitch black. And let's set a max value of 10. And the same thing here on change. We'll provide the callback. And let's just do this.sunlight.intensity. And this time we can't use copy because it doesn't work on the intensity. So we have to do this.object.intensity. And let's do the same thing for ambient light, like here. So I also want to console.log this.object.color.object on change. So let's go to our browser. Oh, and by the way, if you don't understand any of this syntax, the docs for little GUI are actually amazing. So I just pretty much just copied this one right here, and you can see exactly what we get here. So let's go back to our app and let's change this. And notice how our thing is changing, and we see the RGBA values as we're moving. Pretty cool. So this thing is in the way. We could comment this out, but then our event listener would break, so we would have to comment that out. But luckily for us, Lil GUI, you can move it. So you can do that by providing a container. And I'm just going to copy that as a parameter. And what I'm going to do is come back up here and paste this in. And then I'm just going to select any random index.html element. So let's just select hero main. And let me just put it in here. And I want document.query selector. And let's do .hero/main and save that. And now this will be our container. So it should be moved. And yeah, now it's here. So we can play around with these settings. Okay, so, and let's make sure intensity works. Yeah, intensity works as well. So I'm just going to play around with the settings until I get something. Okay, so I found some values that I like. So I'm just going to open the console.log and copy this. And let's put it in right here. And it's already 0 to 1 for us, so that's convenient. And let's just put some commas and save that. And then let's just organize this RGB. And let's do the same thing for this here as well. And we're just resetting it back to 1. So let's also do our intensity. So I'm going to do gsap.to, and I'll do this dot sunlight. And let's grab its intensity property, intensity, and set it to 0.78. Save that. And we also want to do that for the ambient light as well. Let's do ambient light. And when we go back, let's set it back to 1. So let's do this and set it back to 1. Okay, and I'm just going to get rid of my little GUI because we don't need that anymore. Like so. Okay, so let's go back and take a look. And let me just get rid of this instantiation as well. And there we have it. We have our light theme and we have our dark theme. Pretty cool. Okay, so now I want to put a small light here so I can see my fish tank in the dark. And you could use a point light for the lamp as well, but then that would be kind of like 3 areas of light in the night theme. And I kind of just want them to focus here, so I'll just give a light here. Bogo's got a nice position because it's kind of in the center, his lamp, so it kind of draws everything there, and it's near his computer, so he's got one major point of focus, and that's his work and his light. Okay, so let's go to room.js, and I'm going to be lazy, and I'm just going to put it in set model and not even bother formatting it. So let's go to the docs, Let's go to rect area light. And I'm just going to copy and paste their code here and paste it into here. And so it looks like they gave us a helper already. And we don't want to add it to the entire scene. We only want to add it to the actual room scene. So it rotates on our mouse move that we added. So let's do this dot actual room. And that's already the scene. If you take a look up here, this dot actual room equals this dot room done scene. So we can just do that. And let's get rid of look at because we don't want it to look at there. And let's just put this at 0, 0 so we can take a look at how it looks. And let's reduce this size to like 1, 1. Okay, let's go to our browser. Let's go back to our app and take a look. Reference area, rect area light helper is not defined. So we probably have to import it. I'm just gonna go to their examples and hopefully they have it imported for us so we don't have to find the path. And yeah, they do. So I'm just gonna copy that, go up and paste it in here. And we're working from the 3 folder and they're working from the examples folder. So we have to go back and start from 3 and then examples and just fix that path. And now our error should be solved, and indeed it is. And we can see we have our rect area light helper there, and it's cool. So that's actually a pretty cool effect already. Imagine we could use like a flashlight effect, but we're not going to do that for this video. Okay, so there are lots of ways to get this into position that you want it to be. You could find this mesh name and console.log it and find its position and copy its position. You could put the position parameters into a little GUI like we did with the color. Or there's like another hack trick sort of a thing, and you just come up here into Blender and you click on your mesh that you want to locate. And as long as you didn't apply the location, you can hit N to open this, and you can find the location here. So it's X in 7.6. So I'm going to copy that in the X here, backspace that. And of course the Y isn't going to be accurate because we want this top one and not this bottom one. And this is the entire mesh. But the Z and the X should be accurate, or pretty much accurate. So I'm going to copy. And remember, the Z-axis in 3GS is the Y, so I'm copying the Y from Blender, and I'm going to put it in for the 3 here. And let's take a look. Yeah, so it's definitely pretty accurate. So let's just increase the Y value to like 7 or something, and let's take a look at that. Yeah, pretty cool. So now we just need to rotate it. I'm going to do rect light and dot rotation dot x, and I'll make it math.pi divided by 2. And this will rotate it -90 degrees on the x-axis. And then let's rotate it on the z-axis a little bit as well. And I'm just going to do math.pi 4. And let's see if that works out. So let's check. And yeah, that's pretty good. So I'm just gonna adjust its width, maybe like cut down the width and cut down the height a little bit so it's more rectangular. Maybe that's just the rect area light helper, so let me just comment this out just to see it better. And no, I don't like how it's super bright there, so I'll just move it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just move it a little bit. So let's just move it a little bit up in the Z direction and see if that fixes it. And yeah, that looks reasonable. So no one can tell because of our camera position, but they can expect there's like a tiny light in there. And let's take a look at day mode. Yeah, in day mode you can't even tell. But if you wanted to transition this light and give it a delay, you could do the same thing for world. You you would call this dot switch theme and update the room's light. But I'm not going to do that because I think it looks good as is. So I'm just going to comment out the rect light helper and just leave that. Okay, so let's start working on our styles.css. I'm gonna get rid of this and start refactoring our variables to actually be organized. So I'm gonna make a light theme variables, and I'll make dark theme variables as well. And light theme, I want to call it color text light, and I'll set it to this black one because we want it to be slightly black when it's light, and let's get rid of that. And we want the background color for the sections to be this primary color, so I'm going to call it color and background and light for light theme. And I'm just going to copy this, X, paste it here, and Control X to get rid of it. And this should be background light. Let's set our color pink. So any element that's going to have pink, we want to give it this pink color, and it should be right here. So let's just copy and paste this. And let's get rid of that. Now we haven't added it yet, but we also want a green. So I'm gonna call this green and light. And I also want a blue as well. So let's do blue. If you're wondering where I got these colors, I just copied them from Velcro's site. So you can copy those if you want. So now let's set our dark theme variables. And I'll do color, text, and dark for dark theme. And we don't want our text to be completely white. And instead we can just use this as our color. And our color background is actually going to be this one. So let's just do color and background and dark and just paste that in there. Okay, so now let's make a dark theme and a light theme class that we're going to toggle on and off on the body element that will propagate to or pass down to all our child elements. So I'm going to do light theme. And I also do dark theme. Let's just go to index.html and give the body a class name of light theme. I'll call light theme. Now our elements are going to use the variables in light theme, and the variables in light theme are going to use the variables from root. So let's make color text, and let's do dash dash and color text / light and save that. Now if you're in VS Code, you can just type in dash dash. Out of force of habit, I just type var, but you can just do dash dash and it'll figure it out for you. So let's do color background, and I'll call it text. And then let's do dash dash color background light, and do that. And if it doesn't complete, you can just backspace and type in the letter, and it will auto-complete for you. Okay, and now every element that uses color pink, we want to give it dash dash color pink light. So color pink light. And for every element that uses color green, we want to give it dash dash color dash green light. And for every element that uses color blue, let's do the same thing, and var color blue light. Pretty cool. So all our elements are going to be using these variables, and these variables are going to be using the ones in the root. And let's copy and paste this for dark theme as well. So we want the same variable names because we're going to be using them. And instead of color text light, we want to do color text dark. Similarly, we also want to change this to dark as well. And instead of giving all these colors their dark version, we just want to make all the text dark. So let's just copy and paste it in here as well. And whoops, sorry, these shouldn't be text. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to get rid of that. And it should, I just want it to be color background. Okay, now let's find all instances of things that were using our stuff previously. So I'm going to highlight this and do Control-Shift-L, or on Mac it's probably Command-Shift-L. And this will select all instances of primary pink. And instead of primary pink, I want to do dash dash and color pink. Oops, color pink. So let's find it, and it's right here. And let's find all instances of primary color, and let's highlight that. Control-Shift-L to select all of them. And I want to give this dot dash dash color, and we want to do color background instead. So let's save that. Okay, so now let's go back to theme.js, and we want to add those classes to the body and toggle them. So I'm going to do document.body.classlist and toggle dark theme and toggle dark theme. Now you don't actually need this second line here to toggle the light theme either, but I'm just going to leave it there so we can get rid of it from the list of classes. So let's go to our browser and take a look. Let's refresh. And let's make sure things are working. And yeah, so it works. Okay, and we just need to give the colors to these as well. So I'm gonna take a look at the names, section text, section heading, and hero main, hero section. Okay, yeah. So let's just do that. I'm gonna go to the styles.css and hero second subheading, and let's do color dash dash color text, and let's just copy this and paste it in. Let's do hero main as well, hero main description, hero main title, and hero second subheading. And let's go, I think we got everything. Oh yeah, let's put it here as well, section title text. And let's put it in section text as well, and section heading. And let's just save that, and hopefully we got everything. Let's take a look. And yeah, it seems like we got everything. So our SVGs aren't changing color. And let's paste that in here as well. And let's see. And they're still not changing because we forgot to, it didn't come with, we need to go in the path and do fill equals current color. And this will now take colors of our text. So let's take a look. Yeah, and there we have it. So let's make sure we got everything. Pretty cool. So something's wrong with this one. This one's way too black. So what did I span section title text? So section title text. And yeah, let's give it color pink instead of color text. Yeah, now that's better. And we don't want it to change instantly, so you could give each individual element the transition property you want. But I'm just going to be lazy and select everything at the top and their default HTML elements. Just target the native HTML elements. So I'm going to do h1, the section, and let's also do, the p tag and span tags. So let's do span tags, and let's also do SVG. Sorry, my auto senses keeps on going. And in here, let's just give it a transition. And I'm just going to do all because I'm lazy. And let's put 0.2 seconds. And let's take a look. So let's refresh, make sure it's hot, reloaded. And yeah, now instead of instantly changing, it's smoothly changing. Now you can match it up a little more with the transition in our environment. I think the default duration for these is 1 second. But if you want to put a custom duration or delay here, you can if you want. Let's just make this a little bit longer, like 0.5 seconds. So it's a little more in tune with the theme switch. And yeah, that seems fine. That seems good enough. You can always tweak the seating. And I just realized we can't use transition all because then this will start bugging out because it's transitioning the border radius property as well. So what we need to do is just select the background color and the color. So I'm going to do background color, which is 0.5 seconds. And let's do comma and do color and also put it at 0.5 seconds. And let's save that and see what we get now. And yeah, we get the same behavior, but it's not messing up with our border radius. Pretty cool.